chapter. When they found Jesus on the other side of the sea, they said to him, "Rabbi, when did you come here?" And Jesus answered them, "Very truly I tell you, you are looking for me not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For it is on him that God the Father has set his seal." Then they said to him, "What must we do to perform the works of God?" And Jesus answered them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent." So they said to him, "What sign are you going to give us so that we may see it and believe in you? What work are you performing? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, and it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat." Then Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives light to the world." They said to him, "Sir, give us this bread always." Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." The Gospel of the Lord. Be seated. It is no accident that in the toughest times in our nation's history, people have been moved to give thanks. It seems like the harder things were, the bleaker the outlook for the immediate future, the more people wanted to turn to God, stop for a moment, and return thanks for what they had. In a wonderful book, Mayflower, a story of courage, community, and war, Nathaniel Philbrick pushes aside the Currier and Ives image of that first Thanksgiving and the year that led up to it. Gone are the pilgrims in their neatly pressed gray and white clothing, being joined by Native Americans, all smiling sweetly over the new friends they had made. That scene on that first Thanksgiving, says Philbrick, was not all pure and clean, but rather the end result of a remarkable and tumultuous time. He writes, "The first Thanksgiving marked the conclusion of a remarkable year. 11 months earlier, the Pilgrims had arrived at the tip of Cape Cod, fearful and uninformed. They had spent the next 5 months alienating and angering almost every Native American that happened to cross their path. By all rights, none of the Pilgrims should have emerged from the first winter alive. The key to their survival was managing to change their view and theology about the Native Americans. They began by saying the natives as inferior, to be socialized or converted. But it wasn't long before the Puritans discovered that the natives knew a lot more about farming on the North American continent than they did. As most of us have discovered in our lives, the people they first considered to be inferior were superior to them in many ways. This change of heart toward the natives, Philbrick is convinced, is what allowed the colony to survive, even though from the time they landed on Saturday, November 10th, to the day when Governor William Bradford declared a time to rejoice together in a more special manner, 52 of the original 102 settlers had died. Every family had known the loss of a child, a parent, a grandparent, a friend, a loved one. They could have been bitter, angry, lashing out at God or their new government. But instead, they sat down with the people who had literally saved them from starvation and gave thanks. So, too, it was for Sarah Joseph Hale, a woman best known for writing the nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb, but who had a bigger impact on history by consistently writing letters to 5 presidents of the United States: Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, and Abraham Lincoln, always on the same topic: the need for a national day of Thanksgiving. Up until then, it was up to the states to set the day of giving thanks. And as you know, the flurry of letters failed to persuade all the presidents but Lincoln, who in 1863 put forth legislation to make Thanksgiving a national holiday. While it could be argued with the ending of the war, there was ample reason to give thanks. It could also be maintained that with over 600,000 troops dead, once again, there was not a home in the land untouched by the loss of a child, a parent, a grandparent, a friend, or a loved one. Then, too, the people could have been angry, bitter, lashing out at God and government. But instead, they sat down and gave thanks.